Good evening, everyone. My name is Don Thomas, and I'm proud to serve you as the City of Detroit's Fire Marshal. In the Fire Marshal Division, we're responsible for community risk reduction, which includes presentations just like the one that you're going to receive tonight. Thank you all for joining us for our fourth installment of DFD's Safety Series webinar. Executive Fire Commissioner Chuck Sims came up with the idea for these webinars to help provide you with the most information that you need to stay safe, as well as meeting you where you are, whether you're at home or on the go. So today, you'll learn how to create a fire escape plan for your family and business and why having one is so very important. If you enjoyed tonight's presentations, the webinars will be held the second Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. at this same link that you clicked on today. So, as a preview, in May, when things finally start to heat up here in the D, we'll talk about summertime safety, including best practices for using grills not on your front porch, fire pits, and fireworks. And in June, we'll talk to you about what it means to be a key part of keeping Detroit heart safe and how you can get involved and maybe even save a life. Our subject matter expert for tonight's presentation is a 24-year veteran of Detroit Fire Department. I've ran with him in fire operations for a very, very long time, so we have a really close relationship. Uh, Captain Davis has a lot of responsibility as it relates to public education and public instruction. He's tasked with making sure that we teach in nursing homes and high rises, office buildings, and also with giving instruction on how to host large scale events or how to manage crowds with large scale events here in the city of Detroit. So you can access anything related to tonight's presentation by hitting the link or scanning the QR code with your phone. We'll see your questions and answer them at the end of Captain Davis's presentation. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Captain Davis.
Thank you, Marshall Thomas, for that warm welcome. As stated, 24 years with the city as of today. 14 of those is running into emergencies. In the past 10, I've been helping train people how to get out of those similar type of emergencies. So tonight, we also want to welcome you all here and thank you for coming out and sharing with us. We do what we do to make your life safer, and we thank you for all that you do. Excuse me. So we'll get started. Listed here, if you have any questions, any comments, you can scan the QR code or respond to the link here. But we're going to get right into it. I'm very excited. Like I said, this is my bread and butter. We actually did a evacuation drill at Ford Field today. So during the months of April to the end of October, if you see a large crowd of people moving across somewhere, you'll probably see me with a megaphone or in a car with lights and sirens somewhere, making sure you guys stay safe in the case of emergency. So, a fire safety plan for your home as well as your business. Let's start with what is a fire escape plan? It's actually a plan designed to help you safely exit a place in the event of a fire emergency. It should explain how everyone will be notified of the incident that's taken place. It should also show all egress points or egress or exit points or how to get out of the building. It should also show ways to shelter in place or what to do if you cannot get out safely through traditional means. And finally, it should show the meeting area or rally point once you are outside of the building. So now we have that, what it entails. Let's go about how we would actually create one. So starting, as stated, we have to rely on notification. When the event happens in a home, your first line of defense is working smoke detectors. Now, I bet if we turn the sound on here for everyone, we had someone chirping in the background. We don't want that. We just had daylight savings a few months ago or a few weeks ago. That's the most opportune time to change your smoke detector batteries. We want those accurate and in place. Sometimes I talk to my mother. If she's on the phone now, I mean, if she's on the line now, then I'll just get in trouble. But I'll talk to her and I just hear the beeping in the background. I'm like, Mom, change that. She's like, you're the fire marshal inspector. You get over here and change it. So your first line of defense is a working smoke detector. But you also want a secondary device such as a whistle, an air horn, a megaphone, something else that's going to really alert the people in the house, home, that something is going on. Sometimes we'll get complacent, excuse me, my kids included, where the smoke detector goes off and they don't respond. It's like, oh, that's just dad trying one of his firehouse recipes and messed up, and the smoke detector is going off. You always want to, when you hear the alarm, remember the acronym RED. React to the alarm. Don't just sit there and wait until you hear some screaming or anything. It's like, hey, something is going off. Let me evaluate what's going on. That's the E, and then decide the best course of action. So we'll go over those. The first thing in reacting, evaluating, and deciding, if you have to leave the home, identify, or in creating the plan, identify at least two ways out of each room if possible. Whether that's a door, we're not, if you're on the first level, it's easier for that window to be a secondary option, and we'll go over as well if you're on the second level. But identifying at least two ways out of a room if possible, and keep those exit paths clear of clutter, debris, clothing, where they're easily accessible, because you figure that alarm going off, it's in a panic or a heightened sense state. So even though this is your home, you may be, you all the excitement's going on, you may get confused. So we want to keep those exit paths clear of clutter, debris, anywhere you're walking, so you're not creating trip hazards. Or, okay, I'm just bringing in the dog food in real quick, but it's a little heavy, so I'm gonna just leave it here at the back door. You may need that, and you're fighting against time. Fire can double itself every 30 seconds. So we don't want to have extra obstacles in case we're trying to escape the home. Do not block windows and doors with furniture or dressers, things of that nature if possible, because that may be that secondary means of egress or getting out. And if you have to get out, remember, get low and go. Crawling underneath the smoke. You have those toxic air, the heat, the smoke, everything is up high. Smoke and heat rises. So you get low. It's not like Chicago fire or in the movies to where you can see everything. It's actually nearly pitch black in there. So you can't see, but it's a little more visibility once you get lower, because that smoke and that heat is rising. So crawl low under the smoke. Say, okay, Captain, what if I can't get out of the home? Or my areas are blocked. You can also shelter in. What I mean by that, if you can't get out, let's say you can't get out of your traditional means, your bedroom door, call 911, notify them of where you are in the home. I'm in the upper bedroom on the left side of the house. I can't get out. I've closed my door. Close your doors to limit the spread of fire and smoke. I'm an empty nester, me and my wife. Our kids are grown and gone, but we still sleep with the door closed. And that's just, I can't turn off the fire and inspector in me. And I'm just thinking, and I've also shown on the slide, you can see some of the rooms here in the middle. The picture there shows one room on the left where the door was closed, and then a door that was left open during the fire. And you can see how how the room on the left side, most of the contents are not damaged or burned, and it kept that smoke and heat out. Same as on the right side, it's showing the same thing at the upper level, to where you're seeing the closed door, how it preserved the contents of the room, and how the open door was more susceptible to the conditions of the fire. So off doors, unless it has a listed fire rating, which is on the left slide, they're a minimum of 20 minutes. So a bedroom door, a bathroom door, any unmarked door, except for hollow doors for closets, but that's not where you would go. Those minimum doors are 20-minute rating. That means it'll take 20 minutes for fire to burn through that door. Our national average, and the marshal can back me up if I'm wrong, but we're under 8 minutes. From the time that you call us to the time our first company arrived, I believe is 7 minutes and 38 seconds. So by closing that door, each door that you close in between you and the fire is buying a minimum of 20 minutes. And anyone knows or been on the streets of Detroit, we know we're coming to get to you. Also, you can place wet towels at the bottom of those closed doors to help prevent smoke travel. So, okay, Captain, we're We got it. We got that part. What if we have someone who is hard or physically challenged to get, in my home to get them out? That goes with the react, evaluate, decide. If they can't physically walk down the stairs and they can't shelter in place, and you have to get out, uh, persons with physical challenges, you can use bed sheets or large towels to help getting them down the stairs. You look at the picture on the right, always be careful. Be very mindful of their head. If you're help sliding them, I don't want to say drag down the stairs, but if you help sliding them, moving them down the stairs, be careful of the protecting their head from hitting the stairs or walls or anything like that. Marshall Thomas, we talked about running together for years, and I remember we were doing the exercise, and he's going to laugh at this. And I was in the gurney, and they were getting me out of the window, and he was more worried about the the window strap or the window seal, and I was getting banged around in there. So always be careful of the person that you're rescuing of their head and their body. If they're on the main level, you could use a wheeled office chair, something as simple as that. Putting someone in the chair and sliding them to the exit or the doors, or if they're in a wheelchair, of course, you can use it that way. So once we are out of the home, we have to set up an assembly or rally point, or where are we going to meet up once we've exited the home safely. So determine a designated assembly area outside of the home, and it should be far enough to prevent exposure to smoke, falling debris, and not in the path of the responders who are working. Um, Everyone reports to the same area. Let the responders on scene know if anyone is missing. So it's best for a home, a dwelling, I would say at least two houses down, or using another home or a large tree or something as shielding from, like I said, the fallout, heat, debris, smoke, collapse. Um, so preferably identifiable if there's a large tree at the end of the block, something. If you don't have to cross the street, don't cross the street, because like I said, we're coming in to mitigate and take care of that situation. So you don't want to create another emergency by crossing the street, and then we have to deal with that. So if you can stay on the same side of the street, but at least two houses down, or the height and half of their house for fallout, debris, heat, and smoke. Do not return to the home for any reason unless it's deemed safe by first responders on the scene to do so. So it may be, okay, the fire is out, the incident, but it's hole in the floor. It's, the windows, there's a lot of glass. So you want to make sure it's safe from the first responders or firefighters on the scene before returning back to the home for any reason. Don't just, hey, you left something on the things can be replaced, people can't. So we don't want to run back in just for material items that can be replaced. So that's the points you have to make, or the outline, getting things established before actually creating the plan. So you can begin creating with a drawing of each floor of your home, and it doesn't have to be fancy and have an architect's license to get this in place, and it has to be extremely accurate. You can have the kids help out and color in certain areas, or hey, this is my room, I'm going to make it red. You can make it a fun activity for the family, but you want to show all exit doors and windows, and like I said, those two routes or two means of egress, if possible, using arrows to show those routes and those paths, and then show where your meeting point is outside of your home, and how you would get there. So any large furniture or tables or things that'll be in that room that you may have to work your way around, also put that in the plan. But like I said, you can do it as simple as graph paper and a ruler, or you can be as elaborate as AI, and you have moving parts and everything. But you definitely want the information is more important than the actual fanciness of the plan. So that would be for your homes and actually creating the plan. And just make sure that everyone understands what it is. So it may be a abstract drawing, so to speak, but if everyone knows, okay, this is my room, this is where I would go. This is the living room, this is where I would go. It doesn't have to be, a work of art to get that plan completed and everyone would just know where they are and where they would go. So for residential apartments and commercial buildings and businesses, there's a slight difference because you wouldn't actually create your plan yourself. The Fire Marshal Division works directly with the owners and property management to establish a fire safety plan based off the type of occupancy, the contents, what the building's fire protection systems are, like their fire alarm system, sprinkler, fire doors, etc., along with how our firefighting team would respond to that type of building. So you may, you may go to a business and they say, hey, this is our fire plan, and we look at it and it's like, okay, well, this creates a problem for our response team. This would be a problem for you in this situation, or you have this system in place which negates or makes this part not apply. So we go out and we do an on-site consultation. We look at the protection systems, what type of building it is, if it's a assembly, or if it's a nursing home, a hospital, and then we work directly with those owners and property managers to decide the best fire safety plan for the entire building, structure, strip mall, whatever. And then all plans have to be, all commercial plans as far as residential apartments, I'm sorry, commercial buildings and businesses have to be approved and filed with the fire marshal's office to be official. So if you're in an apartment building, a residential apartment building, if you're a tenant or occupant in a commercial building, a high rise or a multi-use building, request a copy of your building's fire escape plan. What is expected? What is the plan? Okay, I didn't help create this, but what is the plan for my building? Make yourself aware of all of the location of all exits of the protected stairwells, fire extinguishers, alarm pull stations. When you go to work tomorrow, just at your desk or your workstation, just kind of look around. Okay, where's my notification device? Do I have a smoke detector in my area? Do I have audio visual device? And I'll show these things in the next slide. Do I have a fire extinguisher near? What's my primary or first exit? But additionally, what's my secondary exit if that's where the incident is? Where do I go if that's blocked off? When we do these drill evaluations, we'll look and we'll have two people in the area and the alarm goes off. One person will go one way, another person will go a different way. And we're like, where are you going? Oh, my exit is over here. No, your nearest unobstructed exit for a commercial building or a fire alarm. Don't get locked into, oh, my exit's over there. Whatever the closest exit is to you, that's where you go. And this is also important, especially for some of the people I've seen on this call. Participate in all fire drills. We do this and we hear all the time, oh, I'm not in third grade. What are we in middle school? Why are we doing fire drills? We're in a major metropolitan city with three international borders. And we have a lot of government buildings. We want to be prepared. We don't want to wait till it's time something is going on to try to figure it out. Participate in all fire drills. Know your plan. Um, Practice is important. Correct practice is important. So if you want to become more involved in your building, become a floor captain or area captain, fire captain. There are different names for it, but like the person in the slide there, and some people they love it. They like, hey, I would have been a fireman, but I blew my knee out playing basketball in high school, so this is the closest thing I have. When that alert goes off, part of your job is to help assist the building and the people inside. Hey, this is the way we go out. This is the area we go to outside. This is how we communicate if someone's still in the building and we can't get them out. So and they become well aware of the fire safety plan. By you knowing your plan and following it, it helps us tremendously from not having a bad situation or making a bad situation worse. If the people and occupants of the building know what to do in tandem with our firefighters coming in and doing their job, it makes things go much easier and smoother and safer for all those involved. So I talked earlier about different fire protection systems in a commercial building or apartment building. So when you go back, just kind of look for at the top left, that's a pull station. Those are within 5 feet of every exit by code. And then outside of high hazard areas. If you have a fire in your apartment or your part or portion of the building that you're working in, you pull that, it will sound the alarm, which below that is your audio visual device. It beeps for those who are visually impaired, and then it flashes for those who are audio impaired or hard of hearing. So that's your notification devices where I said earlier, if you're in the home, you would have a whistle or air horn or megaphone. This would be your buildings in a commercial building or apartment building. That would be your type of device. And you, like I said, you always want to react. The same for commercial building as it is for a residence. React, evaluate, decide. You look at the top right, that's a sprinkler head. That red bulb goes off at 155 degrees for the majority of them. It's not like in the monster movies to where Freddy or Jason is chasing you and you put your lighter up and everything goes off at one time. Those are meant to contain the fire to a certain area. So if you're in a building on the seventh floor and the alarm goes off and you're like, I don't see anything, I don't smell anything, but it could be something on the third floor where a sprinkler head went off because there's a fire there. You always want to react. Like I said, we're fighting against time here. And then you see at the bottom right, your fire exit, your fire doors for a commercial building. And you see that, you notice that the door is a little bit different, that handle. That's called panic hardware in case we're rushing to get out and then, trying to fumble with a knob or special opening device. You just push that and you can go. So you're not standing there with, 50 people trying like, hey, hurry up, Thomas, open the door. That's panic hardware. Those are for occupancies, certain types where we get out. By code, we look at those fire doors to make sure they're self-closing and self-latching. Self-closing meaning if I'm running out and I don't have time to close that door behind me or I'm not thinking about that, those doors self-close and then they self-latch, meaning they won't lock, but they'll latch into position in case there's a blast on the outside of that door to keep that from going to the next level. Favorite part, this is where I come in with my job. Practice, practice, practice. Yes, we're talking about practice. Constantly review your plan and revise it as needed, either through drills or for an actual incident, which we don't want. But look at the plan and say, okay, it was quicker when we went out this way. Or if we go, that tree is now gone or that house is now, something else or parking lot. Let's go to this area. So you want to constantly review the plan and revise it as needed. Make sure all tenants or occupants of your building, your home, are aware of the plan. What do we do when we hear the smoke detector, when we hear the audio visual device, when we hear the whistle? What do we do? Make sure everyone knows that because you may be the knowledgeable person on your floor, but you're going to lunch or you're going on vacation. Now, hey, um, Mr. Sams is not here. We don't know what to do. Make sure everyone is aware of the plan. And then you want to conduct at least 2 drills a year. And more often, if children are home, make it fun for them, but then make it serious as well. So, like I stated, if you have that whistle or that air horn, don't let them play with it. Let them know that whenever you hear this, it's time to start moving. My wife has a daycare and the whistle, it's on the wall. They won't touch it. But the minute they hear that whistle, they're lining up. So if you have children, go over it more and just make it, hey, with this, so don't say, okay, I'm gonna let you do it this time because they take it as, okay, this is a game, it's not serious. But if you do it where it becomes second nature, and you're treating every alarm as the real thing. Don't say, oh, but it's a drill. We do this on this time, but on the real one, we would do this. No, we play how we practice. And I didn't add my special saying on here. I saw my Lieutenant Jones here. He helps me remember that. Um, Amateurs do things until they can finally get it right, but a professional does things until they can't get it wrong. So that's the mentality you have to where it's like, oh, we finally got it right. Oh, we did a good job. To where it's expected for you to do a good job. You're expected to go out when this goes off, we know exactly what to do. So I don't expect anyone to be left behind. I don't expect things to not work by design. So we want to always participate, treat every alarm as a real thing, and just practice and get those things done. If you need us for the commercial buildings, like I said, I do this 8 months out of the year, and I love it. I try to pick a good day for you, but emergency will not say, "Hey, it's raining today. We're not going to start, or we're not going to have an incident because of snow outside." Try to conduct these your drills or evaluations during all times, all parts of the year, because you never know when that incident may occur. So I thank you for joining us today. Reach out to us if you have any questions. I believe we're going to open up shortly for the Q&A, and I'm going to post that again. So if you had any questions, you can go ahead and copy the link, respond, I believe, to the chat as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm sure the marshal will clear, but here is the code again for the Q&A. And I will turn it back over to Marshall Thomas.
Thank you very much, Captain Davis. You were very informative. Um, as you can see, everyone, Captain Davis is our pro. He's really good at that. He has a lot of experience in making these plans and also in public instruction. But know that if you actually have a house fire, we will be there in less than 7 minutes.
Okay, that's why I let you correct that. That was updated information, so
we have
that's
to
even
brag
better.
on ourselves. We got to brag on
Yes.
ourselves a little bit, okay? So right now we'll take some questions from the audience, from our guests. First question, Captain Davis, is what is the best practice for an attic room?
The best for an attic room. So traditionally or normally, those will have a smaller window. So as stated, if you can, you will have a secondary means of egress. But with an attic, you're somewhat limited with the spacing depending on the size of those windows. But if you had a window, you would that would be your secondary means of egress. But more or less, you would have to shelter in place. That would be your best option to close that door if you can, and then call or text 911 to state where you are. I'm in the attic. I can't get out, and then we'll know where to start our rescue operations or how to attack that situation.
Right. So again, we just want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to ask questions and be a part of this plan here. We're going to put the link back up. Please click on the link or scan the QR code so that you can submit some questions. So we'll move to question number 2, Captain Davis. Um, what is the best plan for a fire escape if you can't get down the stairs?
If you can't get out down the stairs, we had listed where, once again, from the previous question, if you can shelter in place, close as many doors as you can in between you and the fire. For a residential home, the doors are traditionally 20 minutes fire rating. For an unmarked door, a regular wooden door, that's 20 minutes. And then some of the ratings for actual fire doors are start at 30 minutes on up to 3 hours for some doors. Um, so if you couldn't get out, that would be your first option. Your second option would be a window, preferably one that's over an awning or some type of overhang to where you can kind of wait for us to put up our ladders because we're, like I said, we're responding in under 8 minutes and give us the time to put the ladders up so that 20 minutes will buy you time. Also, with that, we've been on many scenes to where we're putting up ground ladders and people are like, I can't wait, I gotta go now. We understand there's fear, there's a lot going on, but giving us time to put those ladders up will help for a safer rescue and exit from the building. But if you couldn't get out through the traditional, through the stairs, then if you can choose the safest window or one that is over some type of overhang or balcony or porch to where you can wait outside safely until we can get there.
Thank you. Um, Another question that we have is once we make a fire escape plan, where would you say is the best place to keep it so everyone sees it?
Well, we don't, especially if the kids drew it, it's going to maybe a little wacky and may go against the decor of your home. But traditionally, most fires start in the either the bedrooms or the kitchen. So in the kitchen or the refrigerator, to where it's not out of place. Like, hey, there's my fire escape plan next to the picture of my grandmother in the living room. So if you put it in the kitchen or the refrigerator. You can actually put it in the bedrooms behind the door, such as like hotel rooms. They have it, and then kind of highlight not you are here, but kind of they will highlight that room to know. So it's kind of it's not messing with the decor of the house, but then everyone still has a means to see it or view that plan.
That's correct. We definitely want to make sure that those plans are available so that everyone sees it. And as a matter of practice, as you continue to say, practicing puts that plan in everyone's head and have a greater understanding, a better understanding on how to protect your family in case of an actual fire emergency. So we have a two-part question here, two questions that are more or less connected. The first question is, do you recommend those ladders for tossing out the windows?
That's the first part.
That's the first part.
Okay, first part. Just stop watching infomercials. I'm sorry. Um, so as a professional, I cannot recommend that. And I'll tell you why. And that I'll give you a two-part answer. The alarm goes off, the alert goes off. Say you're on the second level, you're in a heightened state, uh, some in a panic and fear. Now you have to, in addition to figuring out what's going on and deciding what's happening, now I have to take this device wherever I stored it, open up the window, push out the screen, securely and safely hang this outside of my window. And we're talking Michigan. So now, depending on my physical state, I'm 52, so I know I couldn't really do it. So, but now I have to safely climb over my windowsill onto this rope ladder, which is maybe 16 inches wide and maybe 4 to 5 inches thick. So now I'm trying to, in a panic sense, with like bells and whistles and everything going off, trying to traverse this ladder and get down with Michigan wind. I'm in my pajamas or barefoot. So now, have I created a worse situation rather than first attempt to get out? Two, shelter in place. Three, go through another exit if available. So as a professional, I cannot go on record recommending those or saying those are a safe measure. But in the case of red, react, evaluate, decide. And if you've practiced and you know how to use this thing correctly in a emergency state and as your last option, I will not say that you can't use it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. You answered the second component of the question, which was utilizing an outside vendor for those type of ladders, which you gave the recommendation. We don't necessarily give a recommendation for its use, but if you are going to use them, to make sure that you use them safely and that you practice and include that along with your plan. Again, the fire department, we're going to get there in under 6 minutes. Our fire response is under 6 minutes. And even if there's a medical emergency, our response time is 7 minutes and 30 seconds. So we're getting to our residents fairly quickly. So doing risky things potentially that could cause more damage and more harm to yourself is what we're trying to avoid by having these escape plans as well. Um, so our last question is, do you come to people's homes to make fire escape plans?
No, we don't come to homes. Normally, we would do residential apartment buildings and commercial buildings. by code, we have to do that for the fire marshal divisions, by fire safety code and by I'm sorry, the city charter. But this link, the link to this webinar will be posted online shortly for an indefinite amount of time. I'm not sure which, but you can actually compare, um, your plan with, I think it was one of the earlier slides to where you had an example of a plan. So you can kind of see, and we went over some of the things that you would put in your checklist to kind of verify or assemble your plan. But it's just not physically possible for us to go through every resident or every home, but we are available to answer questions or help give insight on those. And as stated, the link will be up for this PowerPoint to use as reference on how to create your plan.
Yes, thank you. We're also
Okay.
going to provide some additional information on our website, some NFPA information on fire escape plans. So we'll get that information up and to be an accessory to the actual webinar. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Reminder to save the date for Wednesday, May 14th, where we'll help you learn about summer fire safety. Summertime fire safety. No grills on the porch. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe, Detroit.